Hello, MPL fans, and this is Keegan of the Seattle Super Onyx with a recap of what happened in Week 3. Coming into it from Week 2 standings, we have two fairly similar division makeups, with two leaders sitting fairly comfortable in their division with respective differentials of 8 and 7, Johto's Seattle Super Onyx and Kanto's Sacramento Slowking. In second and third place, we have some very close rankings coming up to 1 point each, but the Lavender Town Gangars and Portland Self-Destruct are able to clinch those second place rankings over their competition in third, the Toronto Blue Jays and the Colorado Ampharos. Finally, while the Charlotte Volcaronas and Celadon Shuckle have had difficult starts, it's still very early in the season to count them out. So let's hop into our first game now between the Celadon Shuckle and the Portland Self-Destruct. Now, the Portland Self-Destruct lead in with Cloyster, while the Shuckle lead in with their Mega Aggron, with a Shell Smash and a Stealth Rocks in response. Now, if this Cloyster is going to be using physical attacks like it's expected of them, then it's going to have a hard time getting past this Mega Aggron, and as we can see, even with the two Shell Smashes, Icicle Spear is going to get minimal damage, just because of how defensive this Mega Aggron can be. Heatran comes in after Cloyster is basically sentenced to death by Stealth Rock, and here, yeah, the Aggron needs to switch out, and we get a Magma Storm on the Zygarde, which is going to take some damage off it, while the Heatran is just going to protect here, get some more Magma Storm damage off, as well as get some leftovers recovery, before it switches off away from that Ground Stab into the Portland Self-Destruct's other tank this game, Mega Slowbro. And this Mega Slowbro is going to be able to slack that off, and Outrage isn't going to be able to do over 50% HP, which means that Slack Off is just going to be able to endlessly recover it, and so Zygarde is going to need to switch out, especially with that confusion now. Switches out into Jolteon, and oh geez, a critical into a burn on that Scald. So Jolteon isn't going to be able to... Jolteon has to just Volt Switch right out of there to avoid dying to any sort of attack now. Into the Heatran, and then puts in Entei, which is a bit of a surprise. Heatran goes for Protect, and Entei goes for the Sacred Fire, predicting maybe a switch off. And he's going to switch off now. Now, it looks like Entei might be Choice Banded, based on that switch off here. And so Mega Slowbro is going to go for the Calm Mind, but it's not going to have much of an effect on the Azumarill since it's a physical attacker. Forces off the switch off from the Mega Slowbro, gets a knockoff on the Clefable's leftovers, and gets a switch off into Mega Aggron for that Steel Stab in the Heavy Slam. Clefable is forced to switch off into the Heatran, and Mega Aggron is going to do minimal damage again. Less than leftovers. Another switch off into Entei this time, and you get a crit off the Magma Storm, and that's going to be a little bit troublesome as time goes on. We get a Protect into, this time the Shuckle don't anticipate the switch off and go for the Bulldoze. And Mega Slowbro actually comes in and gets to 1% health. And what you're going to get, and get the speed loss, which doesn't matter. And what you're going to actually see here is that they actually let the Slowbro get to full HP again off 2 Slack Offs when it was at 1%. And that might be the turning point of the game for the Portland Self-Destruct, since the Shuckle had a lot of momentum from the Stealth Rocks and the repeated switch-ins. They were just going to sort of slowly take them down. And while yes, the Slowbro got back to only 33% health, we'll see its effect later on in the game. Flamethrower into the Mega Aggron hurts a ton, and actually switches off back into the Mega Slowbro to not die to the Heavy Slam. Togekiss comes in again with the Slack Off from Mega Slowbro, getting back up to 50% HP again. And we see a nasty plot from the Togekiss. Cloyster comes in just to die to Stealth Rock. Could have been another nasty plot from Togekiss, but it wasn't. And we actually get a Fire Blast on the Heatran, giving that Flash Fire bonus on it. And so now we're going to see a rather extended fight between the Togekiss and the Heatran, where it seems like the Togekiss, where Alexis refuses to take out the Togekiss, assuming a switch-in is going to happen from the Heatran. But there's no reason to think this because the Heatran just has so much recovery with both the Protect and the Leftovers. And the Togekiss doesn't have any status effects to apply on the Heatran. If this Togekiss was running a Roost Toxic Nasty Plot Air Slash moveset, then it might be able to beat this Heatran. Actually, it couldn't because Toxic wouldn't work on Steel. So it just... There were two main mistakes from the Shuckle this game, and it is keeping this Togekiss in against the Heatran and letting that Mega Slowbro get back up to 100% HP from 1%. There's no way you're not going to outspeed a -1 speed Mega Slowbro. And here we see the Bullet Punch come in on the Entei to get a Mach Punch to kill the Entei now. And so Zygarde comes in against the Breloom. It's gonna take some damage, but is gonna be able to finish off the Breloom with an Outrage. Now the Self-Destruct know that another Outrage is coming in, so they put in Heatran, take minimal damage, and be able to kill the Zygarde with the surprising outspeed on the Heatran's part. Azumarill comes in, and we see the Aqua Jet come out, basically forcing a choice on that choice band from the Azumarill. So now she can't use anything else against the Mega Slowbro, forcing the switch off. Now Mega Slowbro gets a free Psychic in on the Mega Aggron, is actually going to be able to take that down the following turn. Now Azumarill comes in again, and this time it has a Play Rough available, killing that Mega Slowbro, but now Play Rough is forced on the Azumarill. And this is going to be the end of the Azumarill and the end of the Shuckle for this week. Congrats to the Portland Self-Destruct. Now, up next, we have a game between the Charlotte Volcaronas and the Lavender Town Gengars. We see the Volcaronas lead in with Keldeo and the Gengars lead in with Dragonite. Keldeo trying to get that Scald Burn off on the Dragonite and actually just dies to Outrage from Dragonite. Probably a physically offensive one. And also kills the Umbreon off a crit. This is not good for the Volcaronas. After that confusion, he switches out and goes into... The Galvantula comes in, gets a Volt Switch. The Raikou gets a Volt Switch off first, but the Galvantula is able to get that Sticky Web off. Very important for outspeeding the team on switch-ins. Espeon comes in against the Melodic and uses the Haze, actually resetting the speed decrease on the Espeon, and getting the Scald Burn off as well after that Calm Mind. Now Espeon goes for the Psyshock, but Melodic gets the Haze off, meaning that a second Psyshock will not two-hit kill Melodic, allowing Melodic to get that second recovery off and getting back up to full. The Burn consistently bringing down the Espeon's health, but Morning Sun bringing it back up. And it looks like this is just going to be a stall war, and the Gengar realize this and switch into Bisharp, and might be able to get like a Pursuit Trap on the Espeon here. And Espeon actually goes for a Calm Mind, and so the knockoff is just going to be able to kill by itself, stopping the Espeon before it can get too powerful. And Jonas switches in Volcarona here, his team mascot, and Volcarona isn't able to do too much damage against the specially defensive Melodic, and Volcarona again switches off into the Raikou. We get another burn off the Scald from Melodic, making Raikou hesitant to stay in, but actually Melodic switches out first, and the Thunderbolt is able to knock out that Galvantula. However, the Gengar are able to use this to get some momentum, bringing in the Dragonite, and able to kill that Raikou with Earthquake, and switching off from the Shaman into Bisharp again. Leads me to believe that the Dragonite is Choice Banded. Poison Jab takes down the... Oh, no, never mind. Poison Jab takes down the Shaman after some damage back and forth. And now Bisharp is up against Volcarona, but it decides to switch off back into that super beefy Melodic that will just stop. It seems to be stopping the Volcaronas in its tracks. Finally getting that burn off on the Fire Blast, but it doesn't look like that's going to be too much of a big deal since she can just recover back up. Fire Blast is only doing 18%, and that stops the Volcarona right there. Leading Conrad and the Lavender Tongue Gengars to take the game. Coming up next, we actually have my game between me and Tom's Toronto Blue Jays. I lead in with my Mega Sableye, and he leads in with a Celebi running a Dazzling Gleam. But Calm Mind is able to take that damage pretty well, and a Recover puts me, or a Shadow Ball brings down the Celebi, and because of that Life Orb, I'm able to actually recover back up. So now I have a Calm Mind and a Recover, and he puts in an Excadrill. And as long as I'm able to get a Will-O-Wisp off here, I should be fine. But he actually gets 2 flinches in a row, making it so that this Mega Sableye, which would otherwise have won the game, do it. And then there's a little bit of switch-in, a trade, and he goes in for a Thunder against my Immune Garchomp. I make the mistake of using an Outrage against the Manectric, expecting a switch into Salamence, and he's able to use Hidden Power Ice to take down that Garchomp. I switch in the Politoed to get the Rain up, but he brings Thunder as a coverage move against that Rain, so it always hits. A Scald is able to bring that Mega Manectric down, though, and he brings in a Venusaur, running Sunny Day to take down the Rain, so I can't use my Swift Swim Sweepers. I'm able to get a substitute off on the Hawlucha and a Swords Dance, but I'm forced to substitute again for fear of taking that Thunder Fang, and so I can get unburdened. I switch out the Hawlucha after I do, back into the Politoed to get the Rain back up, and switch in Kabutops for a Stone Edge. He switches in the Venusaur to potentially get that Sunny Day back up, as well as beat the Kabutops, but too much damage is dealt and he's forced to switch off. Suicune comes in as a solid wall, dealing 35% damage, and I'm forced to switch out after the Suicune comes in and bring in the Ferrothorn. Unfortunately, it gets Scald Burned, and so any attack is going to get half damage. I use the Power Whip here. It does 5% damage, very little. And Ferrothorn is forced to switch out, and I switch back into the Nacho Libre against that. I get another Swords Dance off, but Intimidate makes it far less powerful, and so an Acrobatics would not be able to one-hit kill now. Thunder Fang brings me down to less than half health, but still close, and I use an Acrobatics on the Excadrill instead. He keeps that Salamence alive, and here I use a High Jump Kick against the Suicune after I saw the Excadrill, and it actually misses, killing the Nacho Libre. Tom now knows that Venusaur is Venusaur and Salamence are both good matchups against this now very weak Ferrothorn. And so I'm forced to switch off again for fear of that Fire Blast, and I switch into Kabutops instead for that times 0.5 effectiveness. Kabutops is able to get a Stone Edge off, killing the Venusaur off the switch in. But without the Rain, he's going to be far slower and is outsped by the majority of Tom's team. Predicting Aurora, I send in the Mega Sableye in against Scald, but he's able to just Scald me. And he throws in the Salamence off to finish off this game. He's going to Fire Blast here, or he's going to Thunder Fang here, actually, expecting the Kabutops switch, and actually get the flinch off. And now he uses the Fire Blast, killing my Ferrothorn, and Kabutops now goes in. Now, if Kabutops can get a Stone Edge here, he has the chance of winning the game, but I get another flinch, and this lets Tom win the game with that Salamence 3-0. Congratulations, Tom, again on that victory. Now, up next, we're supposed to have the game between the Sacramento Slow Kings and the Colorado Ampharos. However, the replay was not saved, and so I'll just have to tell you that off the back of a 3-kill Scrafty, a 2-kill Pillow-Swine, and a 1-kill Mega Diancie, the Sacramento Slow Kings actually won 6-0 on the Colorado Ampharos in a very impressive show of strength that unfortunately can't be shown. And so that wraps up the game recaps for this week. And now let's check out the new standings following these results. The theme of this week seemed to be a little bit of more of the same on the Kanto side, with the team that was winning still winning, and the team that were losing still losing, and those leads and differentials are just growing in magnitude. However, on the Johto side, we have three teams that are all 2-1, with the Los Angeles Gengar and the Seattle Supersonics actually now tied for first. The Gengar catching up with their big win over the Volcaronas. And because the Supersonics lost to the Blue Jays, it's even tighter because of those Blue Jays coming in, only being down because of differential. Week 4 is going to be incredibly important for both divisions, but for Johto specifically. And with that, that is all for this week, week 3 of the MPL. Again, I'm Keegan of the Seattle Supersonics, and we'll see you next week, everyone.